So natural resources, that's one of your great fondnesses in addition to
Yes, it
government, making government operate more smoothly.
Yes.
So tell us what bills have been in front of you and what progress they're making.
Well, I worked very hard on S123, which tries to improve the Department of Environmental Conservation permits, which are for things like stormwater and wetlands and air emissions. And there's hundreds of DEC permits, and they're involved in pretty much any project that gets permitted. And what we did was the administration had given us a bill because they went through all of the DEC permits. This is Commissioner Shuren, and had looked at, there were 85 different ways to give notice within those permits. As you can imagine, that's really not a very effective thing to do, and it's confusing to lots of people. So they consolidated into 5 types of permits, and then had the corresponding notice procedures in 5 categories. So now you know if the type of permit you're looking for is here, that it has this type of notice and these things and procedures. Then we were looking at how to really broaden the public outreach and engagement, which has been kind of problematic, because it involved meetings where you could ask questions and those questions would be recorded, but you couldn't get answers, which is frustrating to most people. If you ask a question, you'd like to have something come back to you so that you could further reflect, particularly if it's a permit that's going to affect you directly and you're concerned about your property or things like that. So we made this a very broad practice of citizen engagement and public meetings where you could get answers and you could have information directly from A&R specialists, with the premise that if you participate in that public engagement process, that when and if you determined to bring an appeal, you would have had to comment there. And if you have commented there and you bring an appeal, then it could be de novo, which simply means to start again, that you're not acting on the record below, you're creating a new case. We started with the concept maybe we could move people to on the record, which simply means that you develop a very robust record of information that's tracked through all those meetings and brought forward into appeals. But we're not there yet. And one of the things that was very essential was building the credibility and trustworthiness of the agency in responding to the public's concerns. And so we're going to take that step first, see if we can have a much more robust exchange of information and questions, and perhaps more permits will be denied, although I don't know, but it would be better to have them denied at that level than appealed and go through a long process on appeal. So that passed out of committee 5-0, which is always an amazing thing, and passed on a voice vote in the Senate. So it's now over in the House. The other thing we were working on quite hard was siting for solar, and working with the Solar Siting Task Force report. And I think we made some important changes. Municipalities have wanted a greater role or a greater deference to their zoning. And what we've done is put in a policy that the municipality develops an energy plan that then gets approved by the regional planning and is then verified by the public service department, so that when something comes up in a town that has this certification, that they would receive substantial deference for their zoning and planning.
So because they've planned ahead, the location and the siting of these new projects would be more influenced by the municipality's plan than
Yes.
if the municipality didn't have a plan.
Right, and that they would, in a sense, get more, 90% of what they want, as opposed to sometimes the complaint has been they get no say.
The municipalities
Right.
says they get no say.
Right. And many individuals feel that the zoning and the planning that they've done is being ignored by the Public Service Board in making their decisions. So
And so-
this is a way for people to be engaged.
So what's the difference between having an energy siting plan and having just standard zoning and
Well,
planning?
what we've determined in many conversations with the Public Service Board is that they need real specifics to be able to rule on. And they recently denied a permit to a solar plan, I think in Bennington, based on specifics within the zoning. So they were able to point to something in that zoning plan that said, no, it should not be here for these reasons. And that's the kind of thing, it should be here, not here. In other words, not to say, no, it can't be here at all, but how and where it should be. Which I think is what we all want, is to sort of have some say within our towns. How do we work together to have more renewable energy, particularly solar?